So, welcome to the first Amara Wellness Talk. I'm Ben, I'm with Morgan. We're here at Amara Valley, and we're going to discuss various topics that we feel are valuable, are useful, beneficial for human health, human well being, human awakening. And this can range from all the things that we explore here, whether it has to do with nutrition, with movement, with sleep, with meditation, with dance. I mean, we explore so much here. And today in this talk, we wanted to focus on exercise, on movement, and on the danger of working out. And so we've entitled this video, Stop Working Out.
And of course, we don't want anyone not to work out. Exercise clearly has great benefits for our body, for our mind. It connects us together. It helps bring our, movement into the body, energy into our work in the world. And we wanted to explore a little bit more on why are we exercising? What are we trying to get out of it when we do it? Or when we do some kind of movement practice, when we do physical yoga, when we're dancing, all of these things that Ben's mentioned. And how can we get better results out of that and make sure that when we're doing something, we're doing it for, we could talk about healthy reasons. Are we trying to do this to impress others by how strong or toned our body is? Are we trying to beat others in sports? And, if you're doing some kind of like sporting discipline or you're into athletics and you're really trying to be the best at what you're doing, then kudos to you. And there is, great care and effort that goes into training for that. But something about the mentality that we've all grown up with we come from different sides of the world, from France and New Zealand. We're here in Spain. Ben studied in the States. I've lived in the UK. And so we've seen around many, many parts of the world that there's still this mentality that you've got to push yourself to your limits and beyond to get a result. There's this mentality of like no pain, no gain. And it's why so many people are working out or doing things with their bodies and their physical life that end up actually being really stressful. And even if you might have one result like growing a muscle, your overall well-being isn't necessarily being addressed in the way that if you stood back and said, well, yeah, actually, I want to feel good in my life, it might not be having the results that you think you're aiming for.
Yeah.
So how do we do that is the question.
Yeah, well, I think in order to have good results with exercise, we need to be consistent and to be doing it for a long time. So if we work out in a way that either one, we get too stressed and we create damage to the body, inflammation, injury, obviously we're going to stop. But I think the biggest problem that I see with most people who want to get in better shape, they don't want to compete in the Olympics. They just want to be healthy and have good energy. And they understand that exercise is a key aspect of it, which, by the way, I don't think is the primary. I think rest, nutrition come first and then exercise. But they think that exercise needs to feel hard and that we need to go train and it should be difficult. And that means that tick, I've exercised. And I think this is the biggest mistake. And that's the attitude of thinking of working out.
And so we're also coming from a yoga background. We're teaching yoga and practicing ourselves. We're doing a teacher training program in August. And I think we've seen the same things happening, that people bring that mindset from exercise and the exercise world and this pushing kind of mindset into their yoga practice. And then that specifically does not have the results that you would want to get.
That's right. And of course, as humans, to have motivation, we need some kind of goal. So it's very important before we get started on the journey to just take some time to figure out what is our goal. And if our goal is well-being, is to feel good, is to be healthy, is to be joyful, then it doesn't really make sense that our exercise will be the opposite.
Hmm.
And so if we want to, at least for me, it was like this. When my soccer career ended and I was a very competitive athlete and I had all my injuries, so I needed to find a way to stay in shape. I was getting, overweight and tired and bad lifestyle. And it took some time for me to transform my mindset of exercise and to start to and discover a way that I can enjoy movement. And the synergy yoga took me towards more and more towards dancing and just um, to enjoy coming up on the mat and practicing because it was pleasant. And this was I had to put the working out to the side and the dancing instead. And that was a massive shift.
So there's this shift, which we heard from our teacher Simon and has made a big impact on our life. And it's why we titled this Stop Working Out. It's because we realized you can work in. And this inner connection is the key to feeling good, to having this, good digestion, good energy levels, good sleep, a clear mind, all of the things that go along with the level of well-being that you're talking about. And they come from, okay, let's do this. And it means really getting out of the frame from, if you have come from sports and or from working out and like strength conditioning and these kind of things, that they have their benefits for the body, but we come to our yoga practice and we do this supposedly inner connection practice, and we're like, I am not good enough until I do this posture. Right. Until I feel, wow, my whole body super working in everything that I'm doing. And that many people are doing very powerful dynamic styles of things that are drawing on yoga asana and yogic movements. But the point that you're making about if we're trying to get, well-being, but we're not exercising in a way that makes us feel well, it's not going to have good results. If we're trying to get yogic connection, but we go about it in this like aggressive, pushing way that actually takes energy out of us. It creates a lot of stress in our nervous system, creates kind of disharmony in us while we're doing it. It doesn't make sense to then expect good results about, okay, where is this going to take me as I go through this practice? Am I going to be able to keep it up? Is it going to be sustainable? Is it taking me in the direction that I actually want? And it makes me think of, this saying, we have a saying in Amara, it's written up in the kitchen now for many years, how you do anything is how you do everything. And this is kind of the paradigm, it's the perspective that we've found to be very, very beneficial for taking a step back and working from like first principles about how we go about being in our body, how we go about moving, how we go about moving blood around our body, how we go about moving energy around our body, and balancing and nourishing all of the different parts of us in a way that is very respectful. I guess.
It's very respectful. And I think when we're younger, when we're in our 20s, maybe early 30s, the body has so much resources that we can be a little bit disrespectful and we don't notice.
We bounce back.
Back, and it's like, okay, the body gets stronger, maybe gets more, flexible, and maybe that's all we're looking for in our 20s. And I think really there's a shift, as we age, and we just want to just feel good, to be able to bend forward and have no pain in the back, and to lift something and not be worried about hurting our back, and just overall feel to have good energy. And so I really feel like this shift in mindset, but then discovering how can I then move in this way. And there are some fundamental principles that we've learned and These are the things that we share when we share our yoga practice, that are really fundamental to understand in order to have an effective movement practice that stimulates the body in a way that the body receives the message that yes, I need to stay strong and I need to stay mobile and I have all of the blood and the nutrients everywhere in order to sustain a healthy life, but I'm not stressing my body and putting inside of me a state of fear and I'm not good enough. Because when we exercise super hard and to failure, this is when we tell the body, I'm not good enough. And yes, the body tries to get better, but is that really what we want out of our relationship with ourselves and movement?
This is it, right? It's about what is the relationship here? And our yoga practice is about cultivating, caring for, strengthening our relationship with ourselves. And we take it on as a self-improvement practice very easily, because it seems like everything is self-help, self-improvement. You've got to be better, and if we do that in this special time that we're creating in our lives for being with ourselves, and it will make us stronger and more flexible and have better energy and be able to have the inner workings of our organs working better, and like as soon as we learn more about the physiology of the human being, a lot of this stuff for me became much clearer. Like there's a certain amount of information that we focus a lot on in our teaching, that Simon focuses a lot on as a biologist and as a genetic scientist. He really came from that background of like, let's bring in this understanding that we've developed in the Western world, and just see, it just adds a dimension of understanding, maybe of science, into things that ancient peoples knew thousands of years ago, because they really paid attention to what is the right relationship here? What's the right relationship between my in-breath and my out-breath? What's the right relationship between my periphery, my extremities, and the core of my body and my power here?
Where am I moving from?
Right.
Because am I moving from here, as in what shape am I doing, or like am I doing enough reps? Or am I connecting to my core and just listening to the body? Obviously, it takes a few steps to learn how to move from the core without locking the core.
Mm-hmm.
The essence is unlocking the core. This is where the power lives. And so we need to free the power, learn to relax, and it has to do with the diaphragm being able to move down, letting go of tension around the genitals, the perineum, the anus, and to free the core, and then to learn to move from the core. And the core is the base of the spine, so the fundamentals are how to move the spine in the 5 dimensions. And then once I unlock the core and I move from the core and I move fluidly, then I'm dancing. And not only am I dancing, but I'm practicing hatha yoga. So I'm creating areas of high pressure, areas of low pressure, as I'm moving my spine in all these dimensions, from a relaxed and active core, the both at the same time. And therefore I'm pushing blood around, and I'm creating this blood flow that exercise is meant to do by pumping the heart super fast, but that's creating stress. So now I'm getting this blood flow, but I'm enjoying myself and I'm feeling good and I'm dancing. And yes, I can be warm because blood flow is going to make me feel warm, but the feeling is a feeling of enjoying. And I'm sure we could have some arguments or debates with people who are doing a long bike ride and they enjoy themselves.
And certainly people talk about, a runner's high, that the body releases endorphins, internal chemicals that they're internal opiates, or maybe they're chemicals that kind of sense that, wow, the body's under stress and we're going to minimize some of the sensation so that we can keep going. And these things make sense from our evolutionary heritage, where if you were able to keep running or keep fighting or keep, like making sure that you got to the next day, then you're the one who passes on your genes. So there's this kind of evolutionary perspective about why that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think what's been important for me has been recognizing that, look, we're living in the modern world. We're not being chased by saber-toothed tigers. A lot of the stresses we impose on ourselves. And when you were talking before about the forms, I had that sense of like, we made this play on words of like working out, like expending energy as opposed to working in. But then often when we're working with the body and a yoga practice, it's like it's very easy that we're trying to impose something on the body rather than getting this, coming out from the center and expressing movements gracefully, beneficially, that the postures come, the movements come, but you feel this deeper integration between everything there. And so with a little bit of insight and maybe some knowledge about how the body works and being pointed in the right direction about how to come back and cultivate this natural movement, then we can go beyond just the way that evolution has shaped the human body and that it's given us the capacity to, fight or flee and go, no, but where is the growth? Where is the deep connection to everything that's nourishing us? And that extends beyond the body to our relationship with each other, with our families, with our loved ones, with the earth around us, with the sun, with the breath, like really, really a bigger scale.
So much.
And how do we contextualize our exercise or our movement practice, whatever it might be, in all of that? And I see that there's a bigger yoga there. There's a much bigger connection. And that it's sad if we end up kind of compartmentalizing these things of like, now I'm doing my running, now I'm doing my workout, now I'm dancing, now I'm, whatever it might be, and see, no, where is the seamless connection between all these things? Just as there's a seamless connection between all the parts of the body, even though they've got different qualities, and not to put too much strain on the joints just because they're a little bit, or the bones because they're a bit stronger, or not just to focus on the muscles because they're more visible, but see, no, man, I want to digest things well. That's where I really get my energy, when you're talking about nutrition before.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we contextualize our life and practice in this bigger picture?
Yeah. And this is what we share during our yoga teacher training, is the big picture of yoga as not just a movement or breathing practice, but a way to relate to ourselves and to engage with the world. And but finding a tool, a practice that we can do every day that is simple and that influences all of these areas of our lives is so precious, is empowering. That I can wake up and the way I'm just going to start to move and feel my body helps me to feel beyond me and helps me to cultivate a sense of peace and harmony. This is awesome.
Yeah. I just had this vision of the yoga practice being like the fascia. As if it's like you make the yoga practice the connective tissue between all these other parts of our lives, and we bring the yoga into all these things, and then they feel connected to each other and to us. It's like, actually, we don't want to stop working out. We want to bring our yoga into our workout.
Yes.
And feel that and feel how good it is, and make love with the barbells. I mean, let's stop here. Let's stop here. We've got to have something for Amara Wellness Talk 2. Maybe we need some like late night Amara Wellness Talk. So, I mean, but I think this is like what we're also really excited about seeing, discovering, and sharing at Amara in general is this vision of everything that we find out every time we, as practitioners, as humans, or people in the community here, are able to connect with that vision and find the joy in things, and just to realize and remind ourselves and remind each other that we can go beyond acting out of fear,
Yeah.
acting out of the anxiety that we're not enough, and reconnect with, wow, I'm alive. We're here right now. Let's feel this breath, this body movement, all of these dimensions, everything that's coming through us, and honor that and channel it. And like you were talking about before in the power source of the core, what we've found so much is that when you connect with that, it's far more powerful is the thing. It's actually like, whoa, this is the real shit. You know?
This is the power.
This is the power.
This is the power. But you don't force it. You enter through it through listening and through feeling. And
we stop from blocking ourselves from really opening into that power, because it even scares us. I think that's the thing. And we're afraid maybe of losing control in our lives, or we have mental limitations about who we are and how we can feel. And so there's so much to do. There's cleansing work. This is why Hatha yoga starts with kriya. It starts with cleaning away all of these blockages, these limitations, whether they're the physical blockages that are stopping the diaphragm from moving, or whether there's something in our mind and our psyche that is like, oh no, I can't, or I don't deserve this, as if we didn't deserve to really receive this kind of birthright we have as living beings, as living human beings, to feel how powerful and how joyful and how beautiful this and being here is.
That's a whole next step, no? To feel, to know that we deserve this is a journey.
Yeah. Still going, still walking that path.
For sure. And that's the joy. Is it's not okay, done. It's a path. It's a journey, and on this journey we meet people and we share and we learn from each other. We find teachers, we find students, and we build community around this path. So I think this is really what Amara Valley is about: building community around a path of well-being. And so I guess worth mentioning that we have various trainings. The upcoming one is in August, where we do our intensive 3-week, 200-hour yoga teacher training. Our teacher Simon is coming to teach the last week. Morgan and I are teaching the first 2 weeks. And we even offer the opportunity to come only for the first week, which we call Yoga Fundamentals Immersion, where we really focus on this idea of unlocking the core, learning to move the spine in 5 dimensions with the right mindset, the right attitude, learning to relax so that we can promote blood flow in a calm state and start to really harvest the fruits of this relationship with ourselves.
And in that first week, we really focus on, as kind of intensively and efficiently as possible, covering all of this key information that we were talking about before, that just helps give you the insight into understanding how to make better decisions about how we go about our movement, our breathing, our posture, and even kind of like setting up better insight into yogic lifestyle, into rest, into meditation, nutrition, all of the pillars that you were talking about before. We really give a foundation for that in that first week,
which can then apply to almost anything, any movement practice, because essentially it's principles of movement that we can apply to our daily life.
And then building on that for the longer 200-hour training, going into more in-depth practices, maybe a little bit more deep into the detail of not just the physical body, but understanding how energy moves in us, what that really means, that we're not talking about this woo esoteric thing, but you'll feel it through your practice and understand what's really moving that through, so that by the time we also come to this intensive with Simon Borg-Olivia, that we have a real firm grounding for engaging with his teachings, which we personally have found great value in over the years. And what we have seen is that there's essentially a depth of insight into really getting down into what has good impact in the body, what has good results and effect, innovative and yet very kind of compassionate ways for people in the modern world where we live really different lifestyles to people in traditional societies and the traditional yogis who, handed down many centuries of teachings. How do we take all of that knowledge, connect to it and gain from it, but also recognize like we got to meet ourselves where we are, honor what it means to be here in the modern world, and that we can only highly recommend the chance to practice with Simon, because that depth of insight is rare in my experience in teachers around the world. So I want to honor him and thank his impact in our lives, and also in what we're sharing here in Amara Valley, that this synergy method that he developed with Bianca Matchless, but was drawing on learning from all of the great yoga teachers from last century, with Iyengar, with Batabi Joyce, with Desika Chow, with Chandel Remete, with, Chinese internal martial artists like Master Yang as current teacher, people from Japan, from Tibet, from all across Asia, and connecting that in with this Western understanding, the scientific understanding about what we're doing, gives what I feel is a very complete picture, and has been a big inspiration for me personally and for Amara in general, for offering what we feel is very, very clear and reliable information about what really works. And kind of brings us full circle to what you said at the beginning about these wellness talks, where what we'd like to do is share more of that, insights, concepts, practices, just ways of bringing these good things into our life in a way that meets us where we're at in 2024 and beyond.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.